In this video, I will show you how to configure the Storm32 version 4.1 Gimbal controller and enable the onboard motor drivers. So let's get started. If you want to use the motor drivers, these motor 1, 2, 3 outputs, first of all you need to close this jumper 1 bridge, JP1 at the back of the board, just right next to the power supplies. You need to close this so that you can actually supply voltage to the motors via these internal onboard motor drivers. So now, as you can see, I installed my gimbal controller on top of this gimbal skeleton. I just got this from AliExpress. It has 3 axes: yaw, roll, and pitch axis. And we have IMU from nsys.lt. You can also find the link to their web shop. And this is just a plug and play. It's really convenient. And we have power cables over here. The first thing you need to be sure that your gimbal controller is actually secure and level with the rest of the system, because during the configuration, if gimbal controller moves even slightly all the time, it won't be actually configuring and leveling the system. It will fail. So that's why it's important to keep it stable. And the next thing is, of course, your camera IMU is a must. And now I'll connect this one of the ports just right next to the motor outputs. As you can see, just connected it. And I already installed the firmware. And if you want to know how to do that, you can check out my other video. I show it in another video. So now it's time to connect our motors to these pins. So first, you need to know the ordering. And here's the other one. So the one on the very left is motor 3. And I want to install my pitch motor over there. And then the next one is motor 2. And I want to install my roll motor. And then the last one is obviously motor 1. And I want to install my yaw motor. And there we go. So it's time to power up the gimbal controller. And since I'm using the onboard motor drivers, I'm gonna supply only 12 volts. You can actually go up to 20 volts, but 12 volts is just enough for the configuration and for this payload. Actually, I forgot to mention, you need to have some kind of payloads at the end, because it needs to create some kind of resistance. Otherwise, the gimbal will be shaking all the time. So in this case, I connected this old GoPro camera. It will be enough to create resistance so that the gimbal actually level itself. So now let's connect the power. All right. So I'll power it up. Actually, let me change the orientation of the cable. By the way, the orientation of the gimbal controller is not important, because during the configuration it is determined automatically by the software, so you don't need to worry that about. But yeah, you need to keep it stable at least. Oops. Okay, now you can see. All right, I want it to face in this direction, so let me put. Okay, I just got the power cables out of the way, and now my IMU is connected, and I have a camera, and then the gimbal controller is actually stable. So now let's connect the gimbal controller to our laptop, and I'm just gonna make sure that with this water level that the gimbal controller itself is also level. It looks like it. Alright, let's switch back to graphic user interface. Disconnect. And before starting configuration, you need to specify the motor mapping. In my case, the motor 1 is yaw, motor 2 is roll, and the motor 3 is pitch. So to do that, you need to go to exports only menu and select export tab. And as you can see, there's motor mapping option. And my case is, yes, motor 1 yaw, roll, and pitch. And it looks purple because it's not been saved. And make sure write and store. Yeah, I know. Only writing is not enough. You also need to store if you wanna keep it. So let's close this window and then go to Gimbal tab and then start configuration by clicking on this button. And as you can see, there are a lot of checkboxes. Since this is the first configuration, I'll just leave it as it is. Let's continue. Yes, I have 3-axis roll, pitch, and yaw, and it wants us to level this IMU. There are two options. One, you can actually use these water levels, or you can just level it with your hand and say that, yeah, it looks level to me, because you have like 15 degrees of compensation. But I just want it to be near perfect, so I'm using this water level, and I'm just gonna put it on top of my camera. And right, it looks like it. And hit continue, and it wants us to pitch or tilt the whole system 45 degrees downwards. And since I want this direction to be the front, I will tilt it towards that direction. It's pretty straightforward. Now I've done that. The graphic user interface, the software actually captured the positions and the directions of the IMUs. Click continue. Yes, I have 14 pole motors. And to know that, you can actually check the manufacturer's documentation, or you can go to Storm32's official wiki page. There's a really good explanation on how to figure out how many poles your motors have. So continue, everything is fine. Yes, continue. All right, now I'm holding it in place. And then now it will try to level the gimbal. There we go. Our system is level now. As you can see, when I move the system, it's always keeping our camera in place. Well, I know my camera is not pointing to the right direction, but imagine that you have the lens here, the camera is facing towards, and the gimbal is working. Perfect. So now, as you can see, actually, there's a slight difference. Actually, let me show it like this. There's a slight difference between the direction of the camera and the gimbal controller. That's actually fine, because the software is going to give us an opportunity to put some offset. And let's align the camera and the controller. One more, I guess, and there we go. It looks like almost aligned. Yeah. So you can always find the perfect calibration, but now it's holding it perfectly stable. And hit continue. It's going to write everything and restart the controller. And it's restarting, and automatically it should level itself. There you go. It restarted and it successfully leveled itself. So thanks for watching. You can get this gimbal controller with the latest firmware on my website, and soon there will also be the IMUs available, so you can also get that in single package.